Welcome to Shanghai, everyone. Look at this luxurious place. Today, we're going to be going on a very spicy and exciting bike ride. Not in here, of course, no bikes allowed, but there's a lot of really awesome biking to do all throughout Shanghai. So we're going to be exploring all kinds of different little corners of the city, and I hope you'll join us. One of my favorite things about Shanghai is how green this city is. This isn't just one isolated road. There's tons of roads like this, lined with trees on both sides, and there's so many beautiful parks. And my favorite thing, buildings covered in ivy. Even in this super modernized city, you can still find some traditional architecture and some cute little alleyways like this one. It feels kind of like going back in time coming in this alley until you see the skyscrapers in the background. When I saw this statue, I thought this guy must be like some famous poet or something, but if you look at his hand, he's actually holding a broad bean.
他是因为吃蚕豆所以著名。
当地做出了五香味的，我们叫五香豆。
他自己做的豆子。
自己做的。
哦。
Apparently, he is super famous for this delicious broad bean recipe that he made. Like, don't get me wrong, I love broad beans, but I just didn't realize they were that big of a deal here for this guy to get his own statue. All hail to the mighty broad bean. During my wander in this fascinating alley, I also found some semi-wild couches and chairs. They are outside, but they are under supervision. Streets like this are already super rare in Shanghai. They're really hard to find. I somehow managed to find it through the satellite map, but basically all the streets like this have already been torn down to make way for newer developments. And this one's still here, not sure for how long, but when the day comes that it is torn down, if there is such a day, these people will make so much money because of how expensive property is in Shanghai, especially in this location. Speaking of places getting demolished for further development, I've actually just stumbled into one right now. It's just like so spooky compared to what we just saw in like the bustling streets a few minutes ago. It has this very eerie feeling to it. All the windows are kind of boarded up. It's just waiting to be turned into a big glossy skyscraper. There are still a few people in here who are getting back and forth using these roads, and somehow some people seem to still be living in the houses. I don't really get how that works when it seems 95% of the place is moved out. But yeah, here it is, a little ghost town. But knowing the pace of development in Shanghai, it won't be like this for very long. Here's a whole bunch more across the street, also getting ready to be turned into something new. Looks like I was wrong about these things being turned into skyscrapers. It looks like this particular area has been designated for fancy mansions. Well, you know, mansion in city terms. So I actually found my way into this little embryo neighborhood here and take a look at the windows of all the shops. The stores have not actually even moved in yet. This place is still in its final stages of construction, so maybe next time I come here, it'll be all bustling and it'll be a full-fledged little neighborhood. We've been exploring a lot of random stuff, so it's easy to forget you're in Shanghai, and then you see this little doohickey and you're reminded, oh yes, I am here. And apparently people in Shanghai really love coffee. Who would wait in a line that long just for some coffee? Someone explain to me, please. Now we are in fancy Shanghai. Please feast your eyes. This is why I love using bikes as a way to explore a new city or my home city, because just in this really short period of time, we have explored so many different ecosystems or habitats or whatever you want to call it, so many different styles of city architecture. This is my favorite thing about Shanghai, just how much fun it is to bike and walk here. There are so many parks in Shanghai, and this park is really famous for its marriage market. But unfortunately, we were here on a weekday, so we missed out. And if you don't know what a marriage market is, well, one of these days I'm gonna go back to Shanghai during a weekend and get a video of it, so stay tuned. Now we're getting close to one of the busiest and most famous parts of Shanghai. But of course, in order to get there, you've got to bike through a lot of old buildings and some kind of messy, chaotic places. There are tons of hardware stores around here, and you can get just about any miscellaneous item you need. I thought that this was a bathroom appliance store, but I gotta say I'm pretty thrown off by this giant silver ball. Does anybody know what this is? I mean, it's cool, but I'm not sure I'd want this in the bathroom. This part of Shanghai is like an assault on your eyeballs. Like, you can never take in all of the details in time, especially on a bike. Everything is just flying by. So many colors, so much noise. This is one of my favorite parts of Shanghai, for sure. And now we have arrived in fancy luxury Shanghai. complete with a flashy billboard with a beautiful male celebrity.
Just 5 minutes ago, we were in front of a bunch of tiny hardware stores and vegetable markets, and now here we are in this super luxurious walking street with all these huge malls and huge stores.
This was one of the very first places I came to when I first arrived on my very first trip to China. Even though the whole evening was a blur because I was super nauseous from the horrible airplane food and from jet lag, it was still a good time. This building looks like it was copy-pasted right out of Washington, D.C. Such a weird feeling since I haven't been back to the U.S. in a year and a half. At last, we have arrived at the Bund. We're planning to take the ferry to the other side so we can continue our exploration. Misspelled English on people's clothes never gets old. Nabun dumbun. Someday I gotta show you guys my collection of misspelled English clothes that I've bought over the years in China. It's my pride and joy. Okay, herding onto the ferry.
Back on our bikes, ready for the last segment of our Shanghai bike ride.
Fancy Gucci light up crosswalk over here. Yes, people, we are on the rich side of the river. Look at this luxurious bike path.
The Bund steals all the hype. Actually, the view over here is pretty good too, but no one ever talks about it.
We have arrived at the foot of the fancy doohickey, but because of time restraints, we're not going to climb it. Sorry. Let's look at the pretty lights instead. Even the bugs here live in luxury. Check out the sick view this spider gets every night. If you want to know what route we took to get all these classic Shanghai sights and also see this amazing night scenery, check the comment section. I'll post the names of all the places you need to put in the map in order to get this same itinerary.
That's all for today, everybody. Hope you had fun on our bike ride in Shanghai. And as you can see, it's getting quite late, so we're gonna go head to the train station and go home. Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.